Republican Congresswoman Nancy Mace sits on the Transportation and Infrastructure Committee. She joins me now. Congresswoman, it's always good to see you. So you see Joe Biden out there. He's trying to test the appetite of Republicans to back this multi-trillion-dollar infrastructure bill. And you had Mitch McConnell say, look, there is no appetite. But Biden is going to meet with Republicans next week at the White House. Kevin McCarthy, Mitch McConnell will be there. What's the push? What do you think the most important push for Republicans is during this meeting coming up?
Well, ironically, Trace, the president has actually already met with Republicans to discuss infrastructure and trying to work in a bipartisan manner. And I think the reason that we're seeing this happen again is because it's not working. He actually had to rename his infrastructure plan or package to the American Jobs Plan because it was just too big and too much. Half of it, in fact, goes to Green New Deal, wasteful type of spending. And there's no amount of your money or your tax dollars that will be good enough or enough for Nancy Pelosi and apparently President Biden now. Already, Nancy Pelosi has delivered $60 billion in tax hikes in the first 3 months of this year. And I heard on your earlier that President Biden wants corporations to pay their fair share. Well, corporations, large and small, they're job creators. And if they have less money to invest in employees, that means fewer jobs at lower wages. And the reason so many American companies are headquartered overseas is because of the high corporate tax rate here in America.
Yeah, and to your point, I want to play this soundbite from Kamala Harris. It kind of gives you an idea of what infrastructure can and cannot be. Watch this.
The way I define infrastructure, one of my definitions, is the things you just need to get where you need to go. So let's talk about why childcare is a part of that.
Bottom line here, Congresswoman, is that you can call pretty much anything infrastructure, and this bill's got a lot of anything in it.
Oh, right. And over 93% of the, quote, transportation package or bill actually goes to roads and bridges. About 1% would go to airports. Another 1% less than that would go to ports and inland waterways. It literally has nothing to do with traditional infrastructure. And they want to redefine traditional infrastructure as human infrastructure, free child care, free community college, you name it. They want to throw into that bill. And then you've got Green New Deal. And I look at the November election, this was not a referendum on socialist policies. You have Nancy Pelosi has the slimmest majority she's seen in a generation. The U.S. Senate is evenly divided 50-50. And here we are trying to fight back against the radical left and socialism. The problem is real, and it's astounding. This is a time when we should be working together for the American people and do this package in a bipartisan way. And right now, it's anything but.
What do you make of the American public apparently liking this? I want to put up this Monmouth poll numbers, and it says, you know, Biden clearly going to propose huge spending increases, provide paid leave, college tuition support. You have 64% saying they support it and 34% oppose this. Does it fall in your estimation? Well, like what critics say, Congresswoman, is that, you know, people like free stuff.
They love free stuff, and they don't think they have to pay that bill. Well, the problem is, with the government giving away stimulus checks and increasing unemployment checks, people feel like this is a great economy right now. They don't feel the pain that they're going to feel 6 months, a year, or even 2 years from now. And that pain will be real. And when corporations, when businesses get taxed higher, that is going to come and be paid for on the backs of hardworking Americans.
Yeah, I want to just get your thing. Is there any part, because the president says, look, the infrastructure bill might be able to be kind of whittled down a little bit. Are there taxes that you would support raising at all, Congresswoman?
I'm not going to support any tax increase, particularly in the middle of a pandemic. I think that's a terrible idea. And if you look at revenues in states and at the federal level across the country, we do not have a revenue problem in this country. We have a spending problem. And many businesses in the middle of COVID-19 had to cut back. They had to make tough decisions. They had to rein in their own spending to balance their checkbooks. But the federal government is never once held accountable. They've never once had to cut spending because of a challenge that we face as a nation. And this is the time to do it right now. And if you look at something like the penny plan, very simple, for every future dollar that the federal government spend, cut a penny. Everybody can find a penny to cut. You can balance a budget in 5 or 6 years, and we can increase in spending after that above 10% annually. That's just common sense.